Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Hairy Muppet. We're going to start casting the Hairy Bash number 4 for 2014. Now, we're not starting at the quarterfinals like I normally would. We're actually starting with a game that happened in the round of 16 or the round of 32. I can't remember which, but earlier on in the tournament, it was actually one of the first rounds. And it's an interesting game because basically the seeding failed us in this case. We've got two players here. I'll start introducing the player down the bottom left. He is, of course, KingkOng. 24 years of age from South Korea, plays for Team Exile 5, and he's one of the most highly ranked players in this tournament. I think he was ranked 3 or 4, something like that, very highly ranked. And his opponent is Mr. SWs, and he has some stats as well. He is from the USA, plays for Dust Gaming, and unfortunately, he's not really played in the Oceanic Starcraft 2 Championship before, so he didn't have any OSC points, and so he didn't really get seeded appropriately. It turns out he is actually an exceptional player, and so yeah, back in the round of 32 and end up with two of the best players in the tournament going head to head very, very early. So that's why I wanted to grab these games, just to sort of throw them out there, and yeah, hopefully they're enjoyable games, but you'll see exactly how enjoyable they are. So there we go. So I'll just give you a bit of information about the Hairy Bash as well, something I decided to do based on feedback from people playing in the tournament, which is to no longer cast the separate games as separate games. So I'm going to cast a series as one single video and just upload it like that. Oh man, I got a horrible cough going. This is not good at all. So what you're watching right now is going to be either 2 games or 3 games in a row, depending on how these guys play. And it's going to be all on the one video. So you're going to look at it and you're not going to be able to say, alright, well, you know, look back a week later and say, oh, there's only 2 games between KingkOng and SWs, so whoever won the first game must win the second game, any of that. So it's going to be a single video. Now, the downside of that is that it's not going to be a video every day. It's probably going to be a video every few days. But overall, the content should be coming out approximately the same level, the same rate. So it should still be pretty awesome. So there we go. There's my introduction for the Hairy Bash. We're just going to cast these 2 guys, just enjoy the fun. And then when the quarterfinals start coming around, I'll start to get into the information a little bit more as to how people did previously in the tournament, all that sort of stuff. So we'll start casting it normal style. But these 2 games, or 3 games, oh man, I'm doing a horrible job of not spoiling it, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. It is actually 3 games. Or is it? I don't know. So yeah, anyway, let's have a look here. Not really much going on. We got a triple expansion, or double expansion, depending on how you look at it, from Mr. KingkOng. He's moving out pretty fast. He's got a spawning pool, but that's about it. No real tech on the way. And yeah, just getting his macro going. So he's 28 over 23. Going to be continuing to pump those guys out as fast as he can. SWs, on the other hand, has got this expansion. Has not gone for a forge fast expansion, just going for a general gateway. I believe this is actually fully walling off here, so putting that pylon down, nothing is going to be able to get in, so you may be getting a little bit worried about the lings. He's actually pumping out here with a whole bunch of stuff, so he's got his 4 gateways out, he's got his gate tech up, and KingkOng is going to be in a little bit of trouble here. He needs to get a lot of forces out. He's getting a fair amount of forces out, but they're all going to be lings. He doesn't have a roach warren. But ling speed just about to finish, and a ton of lings are coming out. So there we go. The Zealots starting to turn it around, but with Queen back up, the Zealots are not going to last very long at all. Time Warp actually going down to scare the Queens away a bit. And now the Zealots are really, really going to come out in numbers. The lings very, very wisely don't get to directly engage them. But here he goes. He's going to have a go. He's just attacking the Zealots. I would not be surprised to see him Mobat and actually start attacking that pylon, because his lings are really having a bad time of it right here, getting completely owned. And more Zealots continuing to stream in. He so badly needs a Roach Warren, but I don't think he's got a single gas geyser at the moment. So very, very heavy macro approach for his workers and not really prepared at all for this sort of early Zealot pressure. He's just, there he is, finally taken the pylon out. So the Zealots are going to be ages until they get any reinforcements, and the Ling's really going nuts. He's managed to keep most of his queens alive. Trying to kite him now, but one queen does go down. The Lings are just being destroyed in epic numbers. This is a horrible place for the Lings to be in, with just all these Zealots going on all over the place. And let's have a look at the units lost here. It's not completely over, but it's almost over. That's almost 80. So 70 Lings, 8 Zealots. That's almost 10 Zealots, 10 Lings per Zealot. Starting to ramp up now. The Zealots are starting to die, so it's starting to look a little bit better, but still, you think about it, I mean, that's 4 Lings cost the same as 1 Zealot. And that is not a 4-to-1, so that is definitely not an even trade. If we have a look at the resources lost, KingkOng is definitely behind right there. He's by about 700 minerals, which he cannot be happy about, but he's going to try and counter here, but with a single expansion gated off, I don't see him getting in there anytime soon. He did lose a bit of workers here actually as well. Yeah, 4 workers. He's sort of still okay, but really needs to push that a bit harder because he needs to be right out in front at this point. There we go, the 9-11 workers coming out. Really nice stuff. He's going to try and take out these rocks, but he's got to be worried. They're coming in the side. He has to sort of run off here if he doesn't want to start losing those Lings. There he goes. And yeah, it's coming back. Thinking about moving in, but sWs has blocked off the gap right there. He's got, he doesn't really have time here. The cannon has come out just when it was needed. The gap is down there, and the Ling's going in here, but sWs looks like he's going to be able to hold off for a little while longer here. And we've got the lair coming up as well as the ranged attack. So looks like probably Ling Hydra will be the play from Mr. KingkOng here. Maybe with some Corruptor support once Colossus are start getting seen. But he's really pushing the workers hard. He's 58 over 54. This will secure him a extremely awesome macro lead. 72 over 55. If he survives for another 5 minutes, for another, yeah, I'd say even for just 5 minutes, he is going to start to see some real use come out of all of those workers, and he is going to start to be really unstoppable. But he needs some time here. He needs some time to get that macro, to actually push that macro into some units. So we have a look over here. Army wise, he's 29 under 26, not doing too bad. sWs is really pushing hard on his own work. He's up to 61, so he's already pulled back to 10 below KingkOng, which, yeah, it's okay. But sWs is going to continue building the probes. I think he's doing pretty well though. He's definitely closed it up. And yeah, I think 10 workers behind is probably about standard for Protoss versus Zerg. Both players can probably play about even at this point, because the Zerg does need that extra little bit of income to sort of stay, stay dangerous, I would say. So there we go. We do have a 4th phase coming down for Mr. KingkOng, which is very nice. Oh, there aren't actually rocks there. So sWs could also just push over there whenever he wants. But what is he building? We saw a bunch of roaches come out, but I don't think roaches are going to cut it anymore. I think he needs some high tech. Mutas or Hydras, and I'd have to say Hydras would have to be the go here. I mean, Mutas against these forces, nah, it's just not going to happen. So Hydras have got to be the way to go. We do have an infestation pit coming down though. And that tells me he's thinking about something very interesting. Swarm host potentially. Could be a whole bunch of stuff. He is building a ton of roaches though, and hopefully they'll be able to hold him on for a little while. There's no immortals in this army, and stalkers are good-ish at killing roaches. Not super good though, so I think he should be okay. Bunch of 3 DTs coming in here. We do not have, we've got one overseer, but it's in the Protoss base, nowhere near. Oh, here we go. The first DT attacks, and the overseer is starting to be burrowed up there. And there we go. More DTs coming in over here. Needs to get those overseers out ASAP. The first one does come out and immediately spots a DT who is going to get owned by a bunch of Lings over here. Now the other 2 DTs have no idea where they are. Meanwhile, major battle coming in here. They're pushing in, trying to wall off, but it's not helping all that much. The Lings are still getting through. The Roaches, some of them are in here, some of them are not, though they're being held outside, and it's not good. If KingkOng gets all his Roaches in there, he's able to drive him off. Very, very nice stuff there. More units warping in though, and he really, really needs to get out a massive amount of units, but he's still having so much fun dealing with the DTs right here. Look at these guys, they're finally going to go down, but that was half of the workers actually attacking him. Meanwhile, the main army of KingkOng has been knocked back on creep, which is not something you see every day. Actual Protoss army waltzing onto creep and actually beating the Zerg army. Usually it's the Zerg tend to get their way when they're on creep, but not today. And it's not looking good for Mr. KingkOng at this point. He's got less forces, and when you got less forces than your Zerg, it's just not good news at all. So the Ling's coming in. SWs not force fielding at all. I don't know if he's actually got any sentries. Maybe they all got taken out. The Ling's doing a fairly good job, but the Blink Micro is doing an even better job, and KingkOng just doesn't have enough forces to take care of these guys. Building some infestors. Fungal would be okay at this point, but it's just too late. He just does not have enough there. The infestation pit about to go down. The third base about to go down. He already lost this base over there to the DTs, which is quite phenomenal. But yeah, just having to deal with that force over there and the DTs in there at the same time just must have been too much. And there we go, finished off, and SWs takes the victory. So it was actually a very, very surprising start. SWs to take this victory because he was so low seeded, but as the downside of trying to seed based on past performance, if they've never participated in the OSC before, and you just don't know. So anyway, that's been game 1. We'll be on to game 2 just a sec. Alrighty, so getting back into it, game number 2 is going to be SWs down the bottom left side of the map, and Mr. KingkOng up the top right side of the map. And KingkOng, he just never quite got what he was going for, and I'm still not sure what he was going for. He was getting some infestors at the very end of the last game, but I'm not sure that was his game plan. I'm really, really not sure. I think because I thought, nah, he must be going for Hydras. But then he got the infestation bit. I'm like, alright, is he going for Swarm Hose? What's the deal here? But he ended up getting just infestors at the end. And maybe it was just a panic move at that point, but I don't know. I really, really don't know. Maybe he was thinking seriously about Swarm Hose, but if that was the case, he just didn't have the time. SWs got in there really fast, and, well, relatively fast. The game finished about the 17-minute mark, but yeah, SWs really has been putting a lot of pressure on KingkOng in the last game. He did that very, very early attack with mostly Zealots before KingkOng had anything other than Lings, which was quite a devastating loss. He lost like 700 more minerals worth of units than SWs did. And then SWs just followed it up with a bunch of Stalkers around the 15-minute mark, just mass Blink Stalkers, and KingkOng just had Roaches and Lings, which were okay, but so much worse than Hydras would have been. Hydras would have been awesome, and it might have enabled him to actually hold it off, but he just didn't have it. And we will see how it goes here. So KingkOng once again going for the double expansion extremely early with the spawning pool. Looks like he went into a pool, and then, sorry, a hatch, and then pool. So very, very greedy approach, I would say, getting a lot of stuff going. I believe it is the same approach he went for last time, and I gotta say, man, if he goes for a Roach Warren fairly soon, I would say congratulations to you, KingkOng, because against a player like SWs, he just pulled that crap off from last game. I would say definitely, yeah, you know, just get a Roach Warren. It's 150 minerals, get some decent gas income so you can actually afford some Roaches if you need them, just in case, because I mean, damn, mass Zealots from last game, just, KingkOng had the worst time trying to defend those, and a few Roaches would have made all the difference in that battle. But yeah, we will see here. I feel like there's always bloody mute button. There's always gets cables stuck underneath it, so I press it down, it doesn't go all the way down. What a pain in the ass. Looks like SWs is mixing it up, going for a fast Stargaze. Where is he building this thing? Right in the middle here. So Well, the Overlord was thinking about going in, but did get spotted. The Stalker comes around. Might be able to outdistance this Stalker. But I don't think so. I don't think it's going to happen. I think this guy is going to die. Bam! Down it goes. The Ling's a little bit too late to distract the Stalker. Meanwhile, the Overlord coming in from the other direction, but it's going to be way too late to see this Stargate. And now the Oracle's coming out, or are we going to see a Phoenix Swarm? Looks like the Oracle is coming out. And what is KingkOng going to be doing about this? He's got Queens, yeah, fair enough, but some Spore Crawlers really, really would help. Whole bunch of Lings coming in. Do we have a gate here? We do, sort of, using these existing rocks. KingkOng can wear these down, given enough time, but I don't think he's going to have enough time. That sentry is going to devastate all of those Lings, given half a chance. Oh, manages to let some slip. They do see the Stargate, they do see the gateways and all that other stuff. The Oracle turns around and starts shooting the Lings. So there we go. There's that surprise out of the window, and the Lings get off a pretty nice scout. I don't know how those guys slipped past the sentry. It must not have been blocking correctly, but they slipped in. They're going to run up here. They're going to see a whole lot of stuff. They're going to attack a worker or two. Oh, they kill a worker or two. Nice. Very nice play. He's lost 14 Lings, 15 Lings. I don't know if he really needed to lose all of them. I mean, he got a few through. I would have just run the rest of them back. But he has got Spore Crawlers now. He's got Spore Crawlers at all of his bases. And there we go. There's the Roach Warren coming out right now for KingkOng. So he's definitely, yeah, listening to me, or he's listening to the little voice in their head. It says, "Dude, get a bloody Roach Warren, all right?" I suppose everybody listens to the little voice in their head, you know, because that's the whole point of the voice in their head. So it's not really as special as I would have you believe, but still, I'm glad that he got a Roach Warren, because now if a bunch of Zealots just come rolling on in there, I know that Zealots don't roll, but if they just come running in there like a bunch of doofuses, then it just gets, oh, here we go, look at all of those Zealots. There's about 6 of them in 2 sentries. Aren't you glad you built that Roach Warren? There we go. Very, very nice. About some Lings coming around the side, hitting some pylons, sort of messing stuff up. And there we go. Getting a Spine Crawler there as well. And 3 Queens and a bunch of Roaches coming out. So KingkOng infinitely better prepared for this attack than he was last game. There is still a ton of sentries though. SWs, is he going to be force fielding these guys into oblivion? It looks like the answer is yes. He's actually trapping them in there, and man, he didn't have sentries last time when he came in, so the Roaches very, very nice, but the sentries with their force fields and all that other mess are very, very good at messing with Roaches. And it looks like SWs has just got a massive, massive amount of influx of units coming in here, so he's done what he did last game, but only he did it better. And I don't know if Roaches are going to be enough here. They're looking good, but being cut off, this is only 3 force fields to trap these guys, is a horrible position to be in, and the force fields being used so effectively, the Roaches dying so fast, they cannot get that beautiful concave swarm action on that they love to get. They're just getting trapped and screwed over, and SWs just pouring everything into this assault that he possibly can. KingkOng sort of backing off, trying to do the best he can, and he is killing units. Don't get me wrong, all of the Zealots are dead. The sentry's starting to take some hits. Oh, that beautiful force field. That force field might win SWs the game right there. He's blocking so many units from coming down, they could easily start wiping out this entire force. Okay, not easily, but they could definitely do a decent amount of damage, a very decent, but I think he's given this space up. He's saying, you know what, I'm not going to run down there, you're going to run up here. If you want to take me out, you have got to run up here. It's going to make him work for it, but that also gives SWs enough time to rebuild his Zealot forces and get a few more sentries if he decides to do it. And he has got a ton more Zealots here. Looking very, very scary. He pushes him up when he's going through, so KingkOng can hold for a little while, but oh, got a little bit too far out. The force field cutting his forces in half. Big mistake there from Mr. KingkOng, and great play there from Mr. SWs. He's sort of getting owned by his own force field there, but now he is moving in, and KingkOng just does not have anywhere near enough forces to deal with this. 8 more Roaches coming out. I think if the 8 Roaches popped right now, he would still be screwed. It's just way, way too many forces coming out here. And there we go. I think this is it. I think SWS is going to take another victory right here. Stalkers starting to get owned by workers. They're like little lings the way they attack the Stalkers, and they're actually taking them out. With Roaches as backup, they're starting to turn this around, but oh man, more Stalkers just coming on in. The workers sort of doing it. No, he's force-fielding the workers now. I think that's it. Stalkers focusing on the Roaches, and that is it. Game over. So KingkOng giving the GG, and the 4th-seeded player gets knocked out of the tournament in the round of 32, which is very, very surprising, and I gotta say was not expected at all in the tournament, but that's how these things go sometimes. So there we go. SWS, the mystery entrant, who I had no idea what sort of player he was until he knocked KingkOng out in round 1, and KingkOng, one of the best, who did not have a very good tournament in the Hairy Bash number 4. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. I will catch you guys in a few days, I guess, with the first quarterfinal. So catch you guys then. This has been Hairy Muppet. Hope you enjoyed this game.